Right. So I'm Behringer Moonshadow. I've been in the game since October, November of 2013. And I've been in all the park office positions over the years since then. I am running alongside Laurel and Littlefoot. We've been working together since October of last year to actually put this plan together and to make things smoother whenever we transition into office. To quickly go over my rain plan, the first part of it is I want to uh, push education and encourage it in the kingdom as far as like educating, especially the future leadership and those that will take up the reins after we leave office. Laurel has most of the game plan there, so I'll let her hit most of that. Second part is the theme of the reign will be Dungeons and Dragons. Littlefoot and I have been talking back and forth. We're developing a story that is actually going to be told in sections throughout our entire reign. I'll let Littlefoot hit on that for his. As far as what I would like to do in my position as Monarch, uh, I'm going to start by pushing outreach. That has three parts to that. The first part of that is I want to get very connected to all of the local parks and have support there for them. So if there's anything they need that the king can help support them with, I'll be able to step in and help them with that. The second part of that is I want to make sure that every park that would like to have an outreach program where it is hitting up like local like nerd conventions or going to the bigger conventions like MomoCon, Dragon or MTAC, we can set up a way for them to get connected there and potentially get a booth or a demo at those places. Uh, and then the third part of that, well, I went over all of them. So it's con work, and then it's connecting with the parks. It's getting them local things they can generate, getting more people to help grow their parks. I have a personal project that I want to get done during this that I think will be very beneficial for future monarchs and then also future autocrats. It's while I'm already talking to all the parks individually, I want to go ahead and start asking them like who at your park is willing to volunteer for certain positions. Um, like our bid process right now, I feel is that you have to know whoever is running for that autocrat bid in order to get on a bid team. What I'd like to do is develop like a database of all of the volunteers in Edge that are willing to run different crap positions, that are willing to help reeve, help judge ANS competitions, help monster, or help do anything at the level, and make a big database for that. So whenever we pull teachers for a future symposium, or if we need to pull reeves for one of the tournaments in the middle of the summer, we can have this list. And everybody can go look at that and start reaching out from there. Um, as a part of my plan, there's something that I want that I've been taking on personally, and that's I've been using a website called Allison.com. On there, there's a bunch of resources in order to take conflict resolution. I've gonna talk with Gally and Yui about taking a couple of classes on there, so that as a band team, we can be uh, more efficient and have the skills necessary to help with the conflict resolution as far as bands go. Um, and that's pretty much all of it. The last part of that is that I do have an intention on who I would like to knight, which is Greymane and Laryl. I'm open to potentially adding more knightings to our 4-day weekend, 4-day week and events. But that's just something I'm looking.
So I messaged this already in chat. But if anyone has any anonymous questions, feel free to DM me. We have already received one. I'm gonna read this out for you, Bear. Anonymous question. You've stated multiple times that you were running with Laryl and Littlefoot. What is your backup if either loses the election?
We'll back up if either loses the election. Well, Laryl's running uncontested, so it's if she gets the votes of no confidence, I would have to look to see who I would like to be as. And if Spiv wins over Littlefoot, I have full confidence I can win the Spiv.
Anyone in mind for appointing for Regent, or just figure it out when it gets there?
I'll that is something to figure out if that happens.
Gotcha. We have another message in the chat. This one's from Vidalia. She says, you mentioned you had experience in conflict resolution. Monarch leads the team that handles bans and putative action. What does your review process look like for suspensions? And how does your experience in conflict resolution play into that?
Well, so it's not experience in it. I'm taking classes to supplement myself because I know that it's somewhere where I don't have a lot of experience. As far as review process goes for that, it's going to be a little bit of a slower process, and it might be a little bit more involved on my end. But we are the plan would be to get the parties affected interviewed, and then try to get to the root of the story because there's always three parts: the what side A, side B, and the actual truth. Um, so it's something that I am actively getting better educated in, so I can be better at that where I do step into office.
Does anybody have any more questions for Bear? Feel free to unmute and ask directly, send it in the chat, or DM anonymously. Sorry again if my voice sounds weird. I am not handling this pollen very well. We have a new question, also from Vidalia. What are some highlights from the conflict resolution classes that you plan to utilize?
So highlights from the classes I've taken. I have in the process of completing the second course. In the first course, um, the big highlight that I learned from that is that cool minds prevail. So that it's not something that if the incident has just directly happened, it's the best time to get information, but it's also the worst time to get clear information. So what I learned from that is that while you might be able to get the best, most like filled information out of a conflict that happened immediately after the conflict, it is still best to go back and re-interview that person a couple of days or a week after their emotions have cooled down a little bit and get more of their insight on the actual.
We've got another question being typed out. Just one second. Catnip asks, what classes have you taken so far, and what classes are you wanting your team to take? I believe still in reference to conflict resolution.
I'm pulling up the site right now. I know I took the intro into conflict resolution class, and I'm taking the second course of that right now.
A lot of people typing. Right, we've got a question from Oz. Sir Oz, sorry. Sir Oz asks, when it comes to the role of Kingdom Monarch, what role will you play in the current award-giving system from previous reigns, And how would you change it to be less or more efficient?
Well, I plan on taking a more like hands-on approach with awards. I think we have kind of a messy award system, and it's something that AI is currently in development of standardized awards. But for me myself, I would really like to see the awards come off the award recommendations and actually look through them, see 'em for what their merit is. As far as like trickle down awards go, I don't want to trickle down awards that aren't approved by Kingdom. I know in for instance, when I was at White Oak, we were having to reach out to Iron Springs constantly to get like 6 and 7s before White Oak became a duchy. And I just want to like eliminate that extra work from the parks. Like if I'm handing out something to the parks to get hand out, I'm putting the stamp of the king approval on it. They can just go ahead and hand them out to the park.
Right.
Um,
And we, oh, sorry, keep
Sorry.
speaking.
And something else that I would like to do is I would like to have better access to rec form. So something that I will be trying to set up and do at every single event is having the award rec QR code not just be at the feast hall, but have it accessible at any place that somebody would want to hand out an award rec. So have the big QR code plastered right next to the tournament field and the battlefield, and have it inside the A&S.
All right. We also have a question from BDE. Has the COK voted on the people you plan tonight? And is it unique that you noted the people you plan tonight ahead of time?
Yes, they have all been voted on in past. It's not all the time, that people, declare which nights they're gonna night ahead of time. I just wanted to be open and transparent about it. I am planning on knighting Laryl, and she is one of my running mates. So I just wanted to be transparent about that because I believe that she has done a lot for this kingdom and is well deserving of those belts. So instead of just declaring after the August event, like, "Hey, I'm knighting my regent." I want everybody to know that that is my plan now because Laryl does deserve.
We've got catnip typing. Go and Oz. I actually have a question myself, Bear. Um, I think this is under point five, under your third paragraph. You talk about encouraging, or sorry, fourth pair. Sorry, I'm trying to find exactly where it is so I can just point you directly to it. Give me 1 second. Sorry, we'll go on to another question. No, there is no another question. Give me 1 second. Trying to find exactly where again. Ah, here it is. Your second point after the TLDR, at the forefront of your plan, that paragraph, you say that you want to encourage future leaders of Winter's Edge, and you want to encourage parks to pass down knowledge and skills. Do you have any particular plans to how to encourage that, or is it just a general? You're going to ask parks to do this.
So part of that is in Laryl's plan, so I didn't want to go too much ahead of it 'cause, in her bid, she has a lot of classes lined up. That's the first part of that. The second part of that is whenever I do the outreach, reach out to the parks, if they're like, "Oh, we have people that just don't feel confident being leaders," at that point, that is something outreach, section, but I will if they tell me like, "Oh, we have people that just don't feel comfortable running for office because they don't know how to run for office," I would be looking for individuals that could either teach classes at that park specifically or try to set something up so that those that would like to run but just feel confident, knowledge or the skills to do that, then they can directly, almost like a mentorship program.
Heard. Hatnip has also posed a question. Bouncing off of Oz's question, how else are you going to handle award recs besides through the award rec link?
Oh, we'd be hunting them down. Imma have every member on staff that is gonna have sheets of paper. We're all gonna be hunting down award recs and knocking them out. Um, one of my core memories that I have in AmpGuard is one of the very first events I went to. I got pulled to the front in front of court and got my very first Order of the Rose. And that's something that I would like to try to bring back. I know the team and I have been talking about a couple of things. One is bringing back the slideshow during Feast. So if we do have awards that have been recommended to us, we can go ahead and put up a slideshow with these people and what uh, not the eight, nines, and tens, but sevens and lower. So they and just me personally, I feel like if somebody comes to their very first Guard event, they don't have any roses, but I see them handing out water and to help people picking trash. They should be called to the front in front of court and told that they are awesome. They're doing phenomenal. Keep because that builds core memories and that's what keeps people in love with AmpGuard and keep the passion that we do.
I actually have a question on that. How much extra time do you think that'll add to court?
Um, Not much. I don't think so. It'll be one of those that I will call them down in a chunk. Hey, everybody this up here, this is their first event. I'm giving this person this award, this person this award, this person this award, this person. So I maybe 5 or 10 minutes at most court. Most of the awards that would be handed out like that would be during the slideshow. And from what I've been told, it's also wouldn't be that much trouble to add to the slideshow right before court starts or right before feet start.
We've got a few people typing right now. I don't know if they're for questions or not, though. Question from Vidalia. Do all of our event sites have projectors to accommodate the slideshows, or will you be printing the awards off?
I'm not sure on the projectors yet. I know it's Booker T that we Booker T for the August event and H Stevens for the October event. I'm not sure if they have projectors. If they don't have projectors, it'll be pretty easy to either a pivot to just having a TV screen somewhere that has it, maybe one or two of those if we can, or to get one of those mini projectors that we can project directly. Laryl just said that project.
Lara was
We
offered to bring hers.
will have printed off awards. I know that when, like for instance, when Kazan was king, that he would bring like hundreds of printed out awards for people that have done cool things at that event. So yeah, we'll be doing a mixture of both. Um, and we'll try to have all the printed awards off so that we can hand them out to the monarchies that are in attendance and then send them home.
Do we have any more questions for Bear? Catnip has asked, "What does it mean to you to be the kingdom monarch?"
Um, Honestly, it means that I am the main servant of the kingdom. Everybody in the kingdom comes first. Everybody that is a citizen of this, in my head, how I picture it is that they are shareholders in my company, and it is my job to listen and make sure my shareholders feel heard, and then also to try to keep my shareholders happy. So as monarch, my goal is to make everybody happy. Obviously, I that's not a realistic goal, and I know there's some people that aren't going to be happy with some decisions I make. It's just a fact of the office. But I'm going to be trying my best to serve the community and try to be better connected to everybody and all the citizens. And to piggyback off that, I do plan on. I think I might have skipped over the part in there where I mention it. I'm not quite sure. Was skimming it, but I do plan on having office hours that are consistent. So my plan is to be very easily accessible to anyone and everyone in the kingdom. Uh, we're developing the schedule now, but essentially on any Friday that doesn't have a class that Laryl is teaching or future regent is teaching, or that we don't have a major kingdom event, I will be available on the kingdom Discord for people to come ask questions, pick my brain, do whatever like.
All right, we are just over 20 minutes for your section, so I'm gonna do a last call for questions, unless we have a whole bunch flood in all at once. Anyone have any more questions for Bear? One person typing. Someone would like to know what your profile picture is for.
My profile picture is from my homebrewed Pokemon 5th edition campaign that I made all the artwork and music and new legendary Pokemon for. It's not Amp related at all. But I'm a professional dungeon master doing a D&D reign. It's on track.
All right. Well, with that, I think we are going to move on to the Regent section.
Thank you everybody for your questions.
Laryl, I know that you just had some kind of surgery, so like you might not want to speak all that much. If you want, I can read out anything for you. If you think that, like, if you feel comfortable speaking, though, now would be your time.
Yeah, I'm okay for now. If this goes on for a long time, then who knows? So if it comes to it, I'll type. I had my wisdom teeth out. Half of my face is numb. Um, so just bear with me. Yeah. Um, but I will just kind of briefly go over my plans as
I am
regent. Hello.
Bear is with you.
Thank you, Bear. Um, So yeah, plans as regent. I am also intending to run specifically alongside Bear and Littlefoot. Um, I already have ideas for a couple of things that I can do ANS wise that do tie in with their theme. As for general regent plans, is to continue the scribe and award maker support that I did in my last term, and seek out new volunteers. I was really successful with that my last term. I think I had over 40 individual scribes work on one event alone. And half of those were not people who even signed up. They were people I reached out to. Um, Distribute scroll assignments as early and evenly as possible. I'd also like to encourage people to branch out in the kind of things that they work on. I know a lot of people feel very comfortable in the 8s to 9s. I would love to see some of those people move up into making the 10s and the masters. Um, Evaluate the desire for coronets, whether or not people want to do those. If we have the time, if we have the people, then we can assign those. That is something that I just intend to investigate on its own. Um, Work with other members of the monarchy to give awards appropriately. Reach out to local monarchies to find things that maybe they can't award at their own level but are long overdue for some of their individuals. Um, let's see. Actually investigating 7 and under award recommendations. An absolute ton of them come into the kingdom recommendation form, and if we can actively review those and send them down as approved, like Bear had mentioned, that's the intention. Um, I did this last time. I'd like to do it again. Hold a kingdom level tournament or showcase outside of Dragon Master. There were a couple of flaws in how I did this last time. I know how to improve on that. Um, I have planned a couple of ANS challenges to run throughout the term that would be online, not at the events. Uh, Continue to build up the Regent YouTube channel. Pretty much any class that was run during my last term ended up on there. That will be continued. Um, use Regent funding to cover material costs for classes at Kingdom. During my last term, no teacher had to pay for any of their materials unless they chose to do so. That would be the intention once again. Um, keep looking for affordable and accessible sites, open bid solicitations, um, and make sure that everything gets cross posted absolutely everywhere. And that is my plan. So I'm good for questions if people have them.
All right. So I do actually already have one anonymous question for you. They want to know, will there be the Smith category in the Dragon Master?
Yes. So that was something that was identified when I ran the last Dragon Master, of something that I wanted to change. Last time Smith was included, but it didn't go towards the Dragon Master score. This time, now what I would like to do is include Smith as a category for Dragon Master, and essentially you can it's that your top 3 go into your Dragon Master score. So you don't have to enter Smith if you don't want to. But if people want to enter Smith and they're good at Smith and they want it to impact their Dragon Master score, they can absolutely do that.
All right. So we actually have a couple questions. I'm going to go with BDE's question first because she actually asked it for Bear, and then I kind of redirected it to you. Give me 1 second. BDE asks, are you planning to autocrat or will you be soliciting bids?
I fully intend to solicit bids. I've autocrated before, and while I'd love to do it again, I don't really want to do it while also being regent. Um, I would rather support an autocrat by handling the arts and sciences portion of an event and then let that autocrat do their own thing and give them all the resources that I have.
All right. We also have another question from Vidalia in chat. I worry that reviewing awards before passing them down removes local monarchy agency and either pre-approves or rejects awards before park leadership even has the chance to see them. How do you avoid stepping on local monarchy's toes with that plan?
Frankly, it was never an issue before. Prior to about 2 years ago, that is how things were standardly handled at the kingdom level. And I had never heard any complaint from local parks. Um, and if anything, since that has stopped, I've heard people actively say that they miss getting to see those lower things getting approved, and that it was nice to say, oh, hey, the kingdom approved this thing. They recognize this thing that I did. Um, so, in my opinion, it's not really a matter of stepping on their toes. And if people really are concerned about that, they should be sending those local recommendations to their local recommendation forms. As for rejections, I think it's perfectly possible, and this is something that Bear would obviously need to weigh in on. For anything that the kingdom rejected, those recommendations can still be sent to the local monarchies, and if they have a different opinion, then they can make that decision.
Yeah, I would agree on that. If it's not something we feel like we can award, we can send it down for them to use their judgment. But it's more of whenever we get the award recs, it's if it is for something that someone has done at a kingdom event, so therefore on the kingdom level stage, I feel like as the kingdom, we can hand out those awards without stepping.
All right. Note for Kazan. Catnip, you can pass this along. Apparently the channel is full. Um, and we did not use a stage, which would have allowed more people, but would have taken so much more effort. Very sorry. Um, yep, Red's timing in with that now too. All right, sorry, we have a lot of questions. I'm trying to keep them in order for when they were asked. I believe next up is Screech. Yeah. This one's for Laryl, obviously. Is there anything you learned during your first time as Kingdom Regent that has affected your plans for your incoming term? He adds that you mentioned this a little bit, but he would like to see you elaborate it.
Absolutely. So when I ran the Dragon Master during my last term, I learned a lot from that. I actually had a form that I sent out um, for anybody who participated in the Dragon Master or judged for it, and I had them anonymously give me feedback on that, and it informed a lot of the changes that I want to make in how I ran things. Um, Namely, being able to include Smith if people do want to have that impact their Dragon Master score. There were also a couple of notes about how people prefer to have the scoring, whether it's 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. So things like that. I also would handle any feedback that happens at a showcase very differently. I had received some very I don't how do I put this? I had received some very passionate requests to have in-person feedback for the showcase that I ran at the mid-rain during my last term, and exactly 0 people used it. Um, so that's definitely something that if we had a showcase, in-person feedback would probably not be a thing. However, feedback would be. It would just be handled very differently.
We are trying to fix some of the issues with the VC right now. Bear with us, people trying to get in here. In the meantime, we have a question from Vidalia, building on the previous one she asked about awards. She says, "Do all parks have local forms that are easily accessible? I had many complaints that Kingdom handed out awards parks had already printed and intended to award. I know that happened to me multiple times as a local Monarch."
Whether or not all the parks have local forms, that's not something that I know, but that's something that I would happily help them make. If the local parks don't have them, that's something that needs to be rectified. That's a project I'd love to handle. Um, and as for the kingdom handing out awards that parks had already printed, that's it's a very difficult thing when some parks are having their events, right before the kingdom events. So the kingdom does the best they can. um, that's definitely something that we could reach out to the local parks and see if they had any plans of things that were going to be given out. Um, but yeah, as for having local forms, I'd happily help everybody make those and get them easily accessible.
All right, I have a couple anonymous questions we're gonna hit real quick.
Mhm.
First, sorry, my voice is terrible. First up, a lot of people had concerns about your attitude and tone during the last reign. Opening the panel by calling someone a bitch doesn't do much to assuage that. Even if it was meant as a joke, how do you plan to be more kind and approachable going forward?
Okay. I'm not gonna lie, that felt a little bit excessive, um, but that wasn't fully intended as a joke with a very good friend of mine before this had even fully started. Um, Frankly, I've heard far worse said by our current monarchy and other previous monarchies. So I think we're all at some point or another saying things that maybe we shouldn't. Um, as for if I was not approachable in the last term, I would hope that wasn't the case. Um, there was one misunderstanding with Dragon's Hollow where I had tried to inform them just so that they were aware that a class would be taking place in an area, just so that they weren't surprised a few hours later when a group came along. Um, I was misunderstood when that happened, and they thought I was kicking them out. That absolutely wasn't my intention, and that was fully resolved. If anybody else had any issues with me during the last term, I haven't been made aware of it. Um, I'd love if they would talk to me or tell somebody so that that could be rectified. But my intention has always been to be approachable. Um, I don't really know what else to say to that other than I try my best, and if people are misinterpreting me, then I apologize.
Onto another question, a lot easier one. Um, Another anonymous one. Do you intend to continue the trend of 4-day events, and which sites do you intend to book? We typically have lower attendance on the events that aren't in Chattanooga or Knoxville.
So, as for 4-day events, I'm probably not going to, at least not for all of the events that I book. That's something that I'd like to kind of investigate more throughout the kingdom and see what people want. Are 4-day events something that people really, really want, or are the 3-day events more affordable to people? So that's something that I'd just like to find out more about what people actually want. As far as the sites I intend to book, Booker T, we have outgrown it. So I would like to avoid Booker T. Um, as for lower attendance outside of Chattanooga, I don't know that that's necessarily always 100% true simply because we've had so much in Chattanooga. Um, so the data there is limited. Um, so I intend to look for other sites. I don't know 100% which ones that I would book right now. Um, but I don't intend to use Booker T unless I have to, simply just because we have fully outgrown it and it's becoming an issue for people who have to sleep in the bunkhouses where things are getting uncomfortable for those individuals.
Hey, we have another question. This one's from Oz. With you coming into the Kingdom Regent role, you're passionate and outspoken about crafting. How would you intend to invigorate the current culture to become more excited or active in the crafting community? Could you give an example of something you're passionate about and how that's related to your role as a regent?
Yeah. Um, so for invigorating the culture, I that's one thing that I would really like to do with the ANS challenges. It's been a long time actually since the kingdom has had arts and sciences challenges online to get people excited about things. Because honestly, right now, the only things that people have had to be excited about are arts and sciences that happen at events. Um, so I do already have, I think I already have 3 challenges planned. If I come up with any more, then obviously those will be added. Um, but those are things that I want to do to encourage crafting in general. Um, and then as for things that I'm passionate about, um, I kind of collect crafts. Funny enough, I feel like I keep learning new things. I really am passionate about teaching. I teach people at local park all the time. I had people at my house like 2 days ago, and I was teaching them sewing related things. And then tomorrow we're having people over for a build day. So I really love to teach. I love to do scroll work, um, and those go hand in hand with Regent.
All right. We have another question. This one is from Screech. Can you elaborate on some of your ideas for online challenges that you mentioned in your bid?
So one right off the bat, I will go ahead and mention, since there is a Dungeons and Dragons theme, one challenge that I would love to throw out, probably pretty early on, is going to be a challenge for everybody to make their Amp Guard character sheet. Um, so that one is super fun. Um, Figuring out how your AmpGuard character transfers over to like a 5e or a Pathfinder sheet. Um, if people want to take it the extra mile and do things like include their character art and things like that, that's a great way uh, to maybe throw some dragons towards people.
All right, give me 1 second. I'm trying to peruse through messages to find any more questions.
Yeah. Also, I noticed that BDE wrote like, not sure how Kingdom pre-approving awards improves anything. That's how it used to be done. I'm surprised that there's this much question around it. Because, like I said, prior to 2 years ago, that was how it was done pretty much all the time. Um, Back when we were having those slideshows and people were getting seven and unders from the kingdom level. Um, so that's something that Bear and I had both agreed that we'd really like to go back to. Um, if if the kingdom thinks differently, then I think that's something that we'd both be willing to take into consideration. Um, but I do want to note that it used to be done that way, and there wasn't really much pushback as far as I was aware. Um, but like I said, I'm sure we'd both be willing to talk about it if the kingdom feels differently.
We have a half question, half hype from Vidalia. She says she is pretty happy about online, or pretty hype about online ANS, but wants to know if there is a People's Choice contest.
So I did intend on running a non-Dragon Master thing. I wasn't 100% sure um, on what it was going to be. If you're talking about People's Choice online, or are you talking about People's Choice in person? Because that changes how I answer the question.
People's Choice online.
I mean, I would be down. I would absolutely be down for that. Um, and with a couple of the other ideas that I have for arts and sciences challenges, I could probably tie it in pretty easily. Um, but I love People's Choice Awards. I ran the first Kingdom level People's Choice Award at Kingdom, um, and so I would absolutely be down for doing that again.
She says, yippee. Uh, Anyone have any questions in chat by any chance?
I see one from Stoat asking, will online ANS challenges come with awards for the winners?
Oh, yep, I missed that one. Thank you.
Um, so the character sheet one, honestly, I'm not 100% sure if the intention for that is to have a winner. I kind of just want to get engagement. We've not had much arts and sciences online engagement in a long time, and that's not me saying anything about Spiv. That's just I feel like it's been that way for a while. And I'd like to get back to it. We had a lot during COVID because everybody was online, and it's kind of gone down since then. Um, but there are challenges that I do have planned um, that would come with awards. There's a challenge that I intend to have between the August and October events, and the winner will actually get free entry to the October event, and I'll be paying for that myself. And I do see more of the comments that people were making about, like, you know, me being a jerk during last term, and I really did not intend to be. Um, if anybody has any of those concerns, then I would encourage them to reach out to me, or if they're not comfortable talking to me, they can, you know, talk to Bear or Screech or whoever. So, but I never intended to be any type of way. My voice sometimes comes across that way, and today even more so because I'm half numb.
Another question from Red Baked Bean. Are y'all going to have D&D one-shots during the D&D themed reign? What are your plans for incorporating roleplay with this theme?
Um, that is something that we actually, I think I suggested that like yesterday in our group chat. So that's definitely something that I think would be super cool, especially because we do have those upcoming 4-day events. So we've got the time. So I think they'd be really cool to do. That's just a matter of, seeing if Bear agrees with me and then finding DMs who want to run stuff like that.
I do agree, by the way.
All right. We actually had a question missed. Thanks, Screech.
Oh no.
Kalthanon asked, will events be planned out further in advance if they are multi-day events?
I really, really would like to. In my opinion, events should be planned as early as possible and have all available information like everywhere as early as it possibly can be. Something that actually, now that I'm running unopposed and that's been confirmed, once everything is, fully set in stone and votes have happened, I'd like to speak to Spiv about seeing if we could possibly get bids open for the August event, before handover, and then I could finish them, because to be in alliance with Corpora, that's actually what would need to happen. Um, because per Corpora, you have to announce autocrats a certain amount of time before an event, and to get that to happen, we would need to open them, like a little bit before handover. Um, so that's something that I'd like to talk to him about. But yeah, no, early as possible. Information absolutely everywhere.
All right, we're coming up on about 20 minutes in your section as well. We're gonna ask for final questions as it seems like they've died out a wee bit. Reminder again, you can put in anonymous questions if need be, or you can send some in the chat. You could also just unmute and ask in your own voice if you really want to, but we are recording. Here's one for Red Baked Bean. What are your plans for Amped Pride, Food Fight, and the Christmas Belt Favor exchanges?
Um, so Amped Pride, I want to work with the people who run it usually and find a better way because last year when we did Amp Pride, we ran into a bit of struggle because while trying to protect the um, identities of people who wanted to participate in Amp Pride, we struggled to find the best way to create an event that they could join without it being prohibited. Like it was very difficult to make a safe Facebook event. So I want to investigate more and like dig deep into whether it needs to be on Facebook or Discord and find the safest way for us to do Ant Pride. Um, and then you mentioned Food Fight. I haven't been super involved in Food Fight in the past, which I regret. Um, but I definitely want to reach out to some people who have done Food Fight before and learn from them and figure out what's the best way to do it. Um, and then you mentioned the Christmas Belt Flag Exchange. I love the Christmas Belt Flag Exchange. And I'll go ahead and mention one of my other arts and sciences um, plans is to have Christmas in July. We didn't have a Christmas Bell Flag Exchange this last year, and I miss it. And so I would like to do Christmas in July, and we're going to do one in the summer.
We have another question from Calthanon. He asks, will we see any seasonally themed events?
Um, that is going to be more up to the autocrats of the event since I'm not going to be autocrating myself. So if an autocrat would like to have a seasonally themed event, we have a one in October, perfect time for Halloweeny stuff. Um, so if the autocrat would like to go that way, I'd happily support them and find a way that I can work in with that. Um, but as for my part in seasonally themed events, um, it's more going with what the autocrat would like. Um, in my opinion, my position as regent is not to make events that I want; it's to make the events that the people want and that the autocrat wants.
I have one more anonymous question for you. Sorry, again, my throat, my bad. Um, do you plan on conferring with the monarchy about when and where sites are going to be booked so that we don't have another event planned at the same time as an IK event?
Um, so 100% will confer with the rest of the monarchy. Um, I will go ahead and add that to be clear, um, I had booked the what would have been May event prior to when SKBC had announced, so there was absolutely no way for me to know that. Um, and by the time that they had announced, it was within the 9 months that the corpora says that I shouldn't move events. I know that the current monarchy made that change. That's something that they did, but I was not comfortable doing it given the corpora. Um, so when that happened, unfortunate, like it was an unfortunate thing, but they announced after I had booked, and it was 11 hours away, so I wasn't concerned. Um, but absolutely intend to, talk to the rest of the monarchy about what I intend to book and where.
Got a few people typing. I don't know if they will be questions. Catnip says wants to know if she can add something to the event planning question. Absolutely. Through voice? Absolutely.
I just wanted to say that there might be some confusion towards that May event catastrophe. And as the autocrat for Book of Heroes, that was on me. I booked it originally on May 15th through the 17th. When we originally got that site, May 1st through the 3rd was not available. When Laryl announced that the Kingdom got that weekend, when I showed her the site was available and had projectiles in Georgia, I asked her if we could switch. And be not thinking she would, she did, to help White Oak's first time event happening in Georgia. And weeks later, unfortunately, Soror Night Boot Camp moved it. If anybody is to blame for that catastrophe, it should be me because I'm the one that asked. But I will say I'm very grateful for Laryl as a Kingdom Regent to help the community, such as White Oak, put on their first event on Star Wars weekend. And I don't want her to get any shit on for that when it was me that asked, and she was gracious enough to take that blunt. And for that, you can shit on me. I'm good with it.
All right, we've got more typing. Last call for questions before we move on to our main event, our head-to-head fight. I mentioned this in chat as well. I'm going to say it out loud again. If there are any questions that people have that like retroactively they would like to ask Bear or once we move on, Laryl, We will do one final all call of questions at the end after the champion section. Right. Does not look like any questions are coming through. I'm going to wait for Red Baked Bean to finish typing. All right, one final question from Red from Red Baked Bean. What are your thoughts on Smith and Dragon Masters? We actually already covered that first part. Second part, are you wanting Smith and Bardic to be separate competitions or part of the Dragon Master as a whole?
So, like Gally mentioned, Smith was already addressed, but I will be including Smith. It won't be a requirement, but it will be an option, and that option will, be allowed to go into your Dragon Master score. It'll just be the top 3 categories per person. Um, as for Bardics, I would be open to having a Bardic only competition. However, I do want to allow Bardics in the Dragon Master. Um, they always really have been. It's only the past like little bit where some haven't allowed it. But I absolutely do intend to allow Bardics in the Dragon Master. But we can also have a separate Bardic competition, just like for funsies.
All right, and with that, we will conclude the Regent section. Again, as mentioned, if there are any other questions, we can address those at the end, but we're going to keep this train moving. Move on to our main event. Thank you very much, Laryl. Next up will be the champion section. We're going to go with the order in which declared. So, Littlefoot, you're going to be up first to speak. After that, we are going to have Spiv speak, and then we'll go on to questions.
Guys. My name's Littlefoot. Like my predecessors have said, we have been planning for this reign together for quite some time. The theme will be D&D, so I hope you guys are ready for that. I have crafted a bunch of custom magic items that I plan to give out to the various parks, and they are a little nuts, so I am fully ready to rein them in if need be. Let's see. I've been doing Amp since 2019, about the tail end of it, but I have been in foam fighting since 2006, so coming up on 20 years. I'm super excited for the champion reign. I've got several battles already finished and ready to roll out as soon as we are in office, and I've got a bunch of stuff ready, man. Sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained right now. My son was driving me nuts earlier. Trying to find my. There we go. All right, so I really want to bring back night fighting as like a main kind of event almost for our kingdom events. Dude, I've had so much fun night fighting in the past that I really miss it. And I know we have those lights and we really need to use them. And do we know if they are still working? Because if not, I do have someone that I can get them to repair them.
They are still working. They
Okay,
were
beautiful.
purchased right before the last event, I believe.
Okay, wonderful. I guess I just heard murmurings. Let's see.
Yeah, we
I
were
really
fighting till
want
like 2
to.
a.m. with them.
Oh man, I missed that. Hell yeah! All right. Something else I want to do is in the past. I know that we've done this before events that we have had like kind of like a battle gaming chat, so people can like talk shop and get new ideas and work on things. I really want to have that be like a regular thing. So I'm thinking either once or twice a month, probably on a Saturday, since I know most, not all, but most parks fight on Sundays. We can kind of nerd out together and try to build some new things together and then test them the next day at park. I know a lot of us want to see, going back to night fighting just for a second, a Midnight Ironman. Hell yeah, let's do it. I did one, my very first Amcard event, ton of fun. I know some other people have asked me about other tournaments. If you guys want me to run whatever, you tell me and I will be there with bells on. Um, there have been some people that asked about a Valkyrie tournament. Fuck yeah, let's do a Valk tournament. Five and unders. If you guys want to run five and unders in Kingdom, totally down. Battle Master. I am not going to run a Battle Master for this first reign, considering that even in October in the South, it's still 100 degrees. If reelected for the next reign, I will run a Battle Master tournament in the colder months. That way, we're not killing ourselves like we did at the last one. Let's see what else I got. I do plan on being Warcrat for the major Kingdom level events during the reign, and I'm going to have, for those that know him, Technopop is going to be my Shadowcrat. Him and I have worked together on a ton of the games that I have planned. For those that don't know, Technopop has ran Winter War for over a decade and has tons of experience not only designing but also running battle games. And it seems like a waste not to take advantage of that valuable resource that I have access to. To go along with our theme, which is D&D, we are going to have a series of overarching quests and battle games whose outcome will determine the story as it progresses through. Kind of think that's all I have. I know I've been rambling, so thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to your questions.
All right, we're gonna move on to Spiv's section now. Spiv, as our challenger, you have the floor.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Good evening, Winner's Edge. I am Baronet Spiv of Mechia. I am currently serving as your Kingdom Regent, and I am running for Kingdom Champion this term. The reason for running is fighting's kind of my passion, and I love serving the Kingdom, even though it was kind of made clear that crafting is not my strong suit. I still really enjoyed it, and I loved serving the kingdom as serving in a kingdom level. And I hope that you will allow me to continue to serve because I don't feel that I'm done yet. For those of you that have paid attention to my reign as regent, you might have noticed that maybe I'm a little bit unconventional, and that is something that I would absolutely continue as champion. I enjoy things kind of out of the ordinary or things that are not that haven't been visited in a while. Let's see what else with the D&D theme. I absolutely love D&D. I've been playing D&D since I was in middle school, if that ages me, back in the day when THACO was still a thing. So I love D&D. I've been D&Ding for a long time, been DMing for a long time. I love storytelling, and I feel that that brings something to the champion role. And I guess for the elephant in the room is that, yes, I am running as kind of a disruption in the established sort of plan for those running together. I will first say that number one, that was a brilliant idea, and actually love that the three of them are doing that, and I bear no ill will towards Behringer, Littlefoot, or Laryl. And all I can say is that if you heard Behringer's answer in the beginning, I really appreciate his vote of confidence that we can work well together. I've gotten along swimmingly with Behringer and would be able to completely carry out the vision for the reign.
That all for your initial statement?
Yeah, I think actually one other thing. I'll use this platform real quick to right a wrong that I had a scatterbrain moment
Interesting.
and totally forgot at uh, at court at the last event. Um, if you have any spare weapons you can donate, please give them to White Oak. See
No,
Catnick
biotoxin
or Behringer or
or superior kibble.
or Cade, and get those weapons down to White Oak so they can use them for MomoCon.
Littlefoot, you're unmuted.
Sorry, thanks.
All right, with that, we're going to move on to questions. First question, I think this might be a joke question. I do not understand the reference. I'm so sorry, BDE. Question is for Littlefoot. What is your position on tree stars?
They're delicious.
All right. Next question. This one is also for Littlefoot, but given how Spiv delivered his statement, I'm going to pose it to both of you actually. But for Littlefoot first, will magic items issued by the kingdom still require local champion approval before being able to be used at the local level? This is from Avarice.
Absolutely. I'm not going to step on any toes because some of them on a limited field will be pretty strong.
And Spiv?
Also, yes, but my plan would be to hand them out at the local level first because as part of my rain plan, I'd mentioned travel. So I wanted to get those taken care of and then give them out as part of like quest rewards, etc., at the local level and then have them brought to Kingdom.
We have a question also for Littlefoot, but I'm going to pose this to both of you because I think it is applicable to both of you as well. I'm going to have Spiv answer this one first in all fairness. This one's from Red Baked Bean. Would you be willing to build a Winner's Edge big book of battle games where the games that get tested at park level? I think it would be really cool to have a public folder of games that work with the feedback.
That's brilliant. I love it. I know that when I have served 3 terms as the champion of Mechia, that what really helped me in the beginning before I got my feet under me as like a game runner and designer is bits and pieces from various links that had been sent to me or that I'd kind of scrounged up on my own, and compiling that would be absolutely phenomenal. That would help out champions everywhere.
And for Littlefoot?
Absolutely. I love that idea. More resources benefit everybody.
All right, another question for Littlefoot. This one's from Avarice. If reelected, is there a chance you'd be interested in a third party running the potential battle tourney for the reign?
I would not be opposed to co-running. That's kind of all the. I would definitely need to sit down and actually discuss with said third party, but I'm not opposed to the idea.
Spiv, I'll let you answer that one too if you want.
I'm sorry, I missed part of that. What was that one more time?
So you have not mentioned this, but if you were planning on running a battle game tournament, not this first reign, but the second reign, or if you plan to run one the first reign, would you be interested in a third party running that tournament?
Hmm. I do like battle game tournaments. I've done one before at a park level, so I'd love to see that on a kingdom scale. Um, as for having a third party run it, I guess that depends on the circumstances. I would really like to be there, if elected your champion, to oversee that. But I certainly wouldn't mind having help.
All right. Sorry, I'm trying to look for questions. I would ask that we try and tone down a little bit of the extra conversation in chat to make it a little easier to find these questions. Um, Next one is from Greymane through Yui. This is for both candidates. One of my family's favorite experiences in the past were the non-com and combat dungeon crawls. Are either champions planning on running more dungeons? No pun intended. Non-com or combat during the upcoming reign? We'll start with you, Spiv.
Absolutely, that could be easily worked into a D&D themed reign. Some of the more fun experiences I've seen, both here and kind of traveling abroad, have been the utilization of non-com people in that play roles in quests and whatnot. And uh, I guess this is a perfect time to talk about, like, the perfect example is my lovely wife, who plays Olwyn the Cursed, and her full sort of get up is really breathtaking. And like for Mechia, she plays a role as, like, quote unquote the Oracle. So she's already factored in there, and I would love seeing very similar things on a kingdom level.
And for you, Littlefoot?
Of course, we've already got plans for both combative quests and non-combative quests.
All right, and question for both candidates, starting out with you, Littlefoot. Hero wants to know how many quests you've run or written.
None. I will be 100% transparent, but I have a ton of experience with game design, and if I don't necessarily have to worry, we're going to start with the non-combatant stuff. I don't necessarily have to worry about people getting, like, actually injured on a battlefield. I think it makes it a little bit easier, and you can do a lot. The options are a lot more broader. And of course, for the combative quests, we some ideas up my sleeve.
And for you, Spiv.
I have written, let's see, I would say two or three that I implemented during my time as champion of Mechia. That was kind of an overarching thing for uh, between two of our reigns. It was a interesting little story about the Fae, which was really funny because that was before there was that Fae themed reign. But yeah, I would say two or three.
All right. Next up, this one is from Screech. For both candidates, going to start with you, Spiv. I know Littlefoot already touched on this, but we'll reiterate. How long have you been in foam fighting, and what experience do you have from your time in the game that would be relevant to the Kingdom Champion position?
Okay, let's see. I started foam fighting since when I was a teenager. I started with Belagarth in Nashville, the Dirtamarian chapter for any cross gamers in the house. So that was, let's see, right before the turn of the millennium. But I will admit that the time is broken because I started there. Then I kind of grew up and had adult life take me. But after having a kid that expressed interest in foam fighting, then I've been with Amp since what about 2021 or 2022, I think. And how that experience would be relevant is that I've been around quite a while. I've taken notes from other champions, both at park levels and kingdom levels, and I like, you know, mixing out all of those experiences into turning it into a fantastic experience for the kingdom.
We've got a couple possibly joke questions we'll get out of the way real quick. I'm a man of principles though, and I will read them out. This is a question from Fjorn Spiv, not from me, from Fjorn. If I was a head without a body and could only communicate by blinking, would you still love me?
No, because then you couldn't play Dark and Darker with me.
All right, and next, also for you, Spiv from Vidalia. Have vampires been an issue in your current reign? If so, what do you plan to change to eradicate the vampire menace? If no, what is your next crusade?
Thankfully, vampires have not been an issue during this reign, but that is a great hook for Behringer. So I hope he's listening. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. For anybody that doesn't know, that is a reference to my reign plan that I submitted as a document and my previous reign plan as regent that references the Edict of Ben's Living Room, which is a thing that happened over 30 years ago in, what is it, the Burning Lands, which is Texas. I personally love that concept. To me, that is kind of the fun silliness that Amp should be, and I just want to keep that alive.
All right. Next up, this is a question from Screech. This one is for you, Spiv. What made you choose to run for champion instead of another term as regent?
Uh, Champion is where I've had the most fun when I've served as champion at the park level. I love games. I love seeing people have fun. And I wanted to get in at the kingdom level. So that's why I took Regent initially. But Champion is where I am really comfortable at and where I feel like I would excel even further.
All right. Give me just 1 second. Sorry. A lot of messages to go through. Scrolling. This one is from Calthanon for both. We've done a couple Spiv questions, so we're going to start out with you, Littlefoot. Are there any plans to create story-focused events where the intention is to get players involved in the story of the kingdom?
I would say so, yes. Part of that is the overarching story that we are currently planning on running. And a lot of that will also come about with the night quests that we're going to run as well. So, absolutely.
And for you, Spiv?
It does seem like that is the plan, yes, because I am very thankful to have the ability to travel. I want to carry that story that Behringer, I'm sure, has in mind, and carry that out to the parks and stir up the excitement and get people involved, and then everybody converges at a kingdom event, already knowing what's going on, and then telling the next chapter from there.
And we have an anonymous question for you, Spiv. From your term as regent, you made several changes within your position that was done against the corpora or without proper auditing proceedings. What was your reasoning behind this? And such as moving Kingdom in Reign within 6 months of an event to a site that is 3 times more expensive, than the previous booked one for that event. As champion, will you do the same thing or take a different course of action?
Fantastic question. The answer is that actually I did not violate the corpora. The corpora says should, not must. So for moving the event that was at the monarch's request, I'd heard things both ways, and I was kind of on the fence. But then I was instructed to do so, so I did. And then as champion, in the champion role, that's less of an issue. Whereas the champion role doesn't really book anything or do anything along those lines. So if the concern there is violating the corpora, then I guess you could say my hands are tied.
All right. This is a question from Oz for both. Um, interpret this as constructive question and not a negative. But what do you bring to the table that your opponent may not be? How do your years of play help you prepare for a role in the Kingdom Champion role? I'm gonna start off with Littlefoot.
You cut out. What did you say?
Starting off with you, Littlefoot. This is a question from Oz for both. And he wants you to interpret this as a constructive question and not a negative one. But what do you bring to the table that your opponent may not be able to? And how do your years of play help to prepare you for the Kingdom Champion role?
Can't really speak on Spiv because I don't personally know them that well, so I'm not gonna say what I don't want to try to one up anyone. But instead, what I will say is that um, over my 20-year career in various foam games, I love that we also both started in Bell. Hell yeah, that's cool. I have done games on multiple large level events, including the South's largest event, Winter War. I ran numerous weapons check with my company. Um, I feel like the level of experience that I have and the comfortability that I have on running a large battlefield um, will really help me in the long run. I love running battles. Super fun. And I love making simple, easy to follow battles. I'm not going to have to explain the rules for 30 minutes. There will be a handful of key terms, and hopefully I can get my spiel over in 10 minutes.
And for you, Spiv?
Well, I tend to follow the same sort of principle as Littlefoot there. Um, like I said, I bear no ill will. We've met once and in Atlanta, and luckily this is not a trial by arms like it used to because he kicked my ass. But what I bring to the table is in engagement. I am one of those perpetually online trolls, so I like peeking in various park discords and sending messages and blasting out announcements, and I like kind of staying engaged in that sense. Um, and in terms of years of play preparing for the Kingdom Champion role, well, having been around for so long, I'm sure both of us have seen quite a bit. So I'm sure that we can. Where was I going with that? That we can mix and match things that we've seen to make a great experience. And also from my intro that I missed, I'll use this question as a platform for that. Is that no matter who wins, your champion is going to be bald and bearded.
My man.
Another. Look, I'm bald with no beard. Do I get to hang out with you two, or is that no? No,
Of
that's
Yeah,
fine,
course.
totally,
guys.
Of
That's
totally.
course.
okay. Little bit. This is a question for you from BDE. Have you tested how Techno's games will translate to Amped Guard?
We have. I've done it on a local level before, and they worked great. The inclusion of magic and abilities really opens the sandbox for those cross gamers. We can get pretty wacky.
All right. Next up, this is a question from Calthanon for both. We just did you, Littlefoot, so we're going to start off with Spiv. When making battle games, what are some of the challenges that you have faced, and how did you overcome them?
Fantastic question. Um, let's see. Some of the issues that I've faced have been, I would say, challenges that any game designer or game runner faces, and that's a matter of balancing. Because at a park level, sometimes you have maybe a really skilled player that just throws off the balance, or someone's playing a class that really offsets the balance that maybe you weren't counting on. So how that is overcome, how you overcome that, or and what I've done is learning from your mistakes. And I am the first to put my hand in the air when I screw up. And I know that people during this reign have been very kind to point out in various ways when I have made decisions that have been not so popular, but I'm willing to reflect on that and adjust course as necessary. So how that pertains to gaming is, if you see something that might be a little bit overpowered, then you take steps to scale that back some, right? Like you adjust the teams a little bit, or you move the objectives a little bit so that your sprinter can't dash down the field and grab it, and you weren't counting on that happening, so on and so forth.
All right. Give me 1 second. Sorry, Littlefoot, I did not get your answer for that yet. Littlefoot, could you please answer? Sorry.
No worries. Honestly, Biv nailed it. Balance and simplicity are, I think, the two biggest issues when it comes to battle game design. Balance not only in terms of like objective placement or field size, but team. I know a lot of us like to play with our quote unquote super friends groups, and that's great and that's awesome. But sometimes that can screw a lot of stuff up. So I want to make sure that not only are like numbers balanced, but also skill level is balanced to a certain degree. I'm not going to tell people they can't play with their friends, but we all need to work together to make sure that nobody's getting ran over. Simplicity, you don't need a ton of rules, man. Like two or three really important things, and I think that the games can run super smooth as long as you stay on top of stuff.
All right, and this is a question for Hero. We're going to start off with Littlefoot. He says, if neither of you have run quests previously, why are you interested in running such a quest-heavy reign at Kingdom level?
We got to start somewhere. I mean, I haven't been Kingdom Champion before, but it's something that I really am super interested in doing. And not everyone that participates in Amtgard at a Kingdom level is on the battlefield. I don't want anybody to feel left out. And if that means that I've got to jump into some uncharted territory, sweet, let's do it. I want to make sure everybody is included and has a good time.
And for you, Spiv?
Fantastic answer, Littlefoot. Love that.
Thank you, buddy.
Well, I had said that I've ran two or three. I guess yeah, that's maybe not quite enough for the number that anyone had, or that maybe you were hoping for. But why am I interested? Because D&D, like, that's awesome. I love that rain plan, and I would plan to get involved however I can. And quests are awesome, and I haven't seen things like little like trinkets or artifacts handed out in quite some time. So I would love to be able to get those into circulation.
All right. Before moving on to the next question, I've received a few messages about about a previous question pertaining to the cost of event sites. We're gonna have the auto step in real quick just to clear up some misunderstandings and maybe some misinformation about the price of the upcoming event. So with that, Toast, if you could take over real quick.
Yeah. Hey, just to clear up some miscommunications that might have happened, the price of the event is going to be, if you pre-register, $50, which is actually cheaper per day than any of the events that we've had here previously. We did this by offsetting the cost of the event by doing fundraising. We raised so far $4,500 to offset the cost of this event for everybody.
Thank you, Toast. Hopefully that clears some things up there. Then moving on to the next question. This is from Abby Lord Aldrich. Question for both candidates. We're going to start off with Spiv. How do you plan to convey RP for the theme, and will it evolve with the results of games?
That is a fantastic question. Um, you know, in my experience with Amped Guard, RP has been one of those very tenuous sort of things to really get a lot of buy-in from. But it basically it can be done if you set the mood right. And actually, I believe it was you yourself, Aldrich, when I was relatively new and you were visiting Mechia. You did for some sort of game. You had some sort of riddle that the players had to answer that I don't think anyone got right. But basically, something along those lines, because you can't ask folks to like really get into a character necessarily if they're kind of hesitant. Like basically you've got, you know, your game name and that's about it. But if you have like the right costumes and maybe the right timing or positioning, like you know, you see the the Adventurers Guild, for example, and there's a clerk behind a desk. That would be one way of getting into that, and how it would evolve. That I really don't have a good answer for. I'll be completely honest. I know uh, that if there's an evolving story, then we still need people to play those parts. But I'm not exactly sure if that truly answers your question. So I will shut up.
And for you, Littlefoot.
Um, RP is what anybody wants to put into it. I'm not super into RP necessarily. It's kind of a niche within our game because it's the primary way that majority, not all, I understand that, but the primary way most people play Amp Guard is through combat. Now, caveat to that is I plan for the non-combative quests to be heavily to lean heavily into the roleplay side. Now, yes, to answer that second part of the question, yes, the results of battles will determine how everything else falls into place.
Give me just 1 second. Sorry, a lot of questions. This one is from BDE. We're gonna start out with you on this, Littlefoot. Less of a question, more of a beg. BDE says, "Would you please run a Kingdom Archery tournament?"
Absolutely. there's been a rising demand over past years, and we offer most other tournament weapon or most other weapon style tournaments. Absolutely, we should have an archery tournament.
And for you, Spiv?
I will say uh, yes, begrudgingly, because BDE, haven't you won like the last 3 Kingdom archery tournaments or something like that? um, but also, how about something like a dagger tournament or a thrown weapons tournament? Because I want to bring kind of my non-conventional flair to to the tournaments as well.
All right. Next up we have from Red Baked Bean. This is for both. We'll start off with Spiv. As game runners, what is your plan or reaction when a game becomes unsafe, not winnable, no longer fun, etc.?
Well, I'll divide that. I'll divide that up because there's two. In my mind, there's two very clear divisions in that question. Because the first part of it was when a game becomes unsafe, you know, full stop right there. In my opinion, a champion's job is twofold. First off, to make sure everyone is being safe, and then secondly, to make sure everyone is having fun. If something is unsafe, that is totally different than not winnable, no longer fun, etc. But I'll come to that in just a second. If it's unsafe, you stop the game, period, point blank, full stop, right? Because you absolutely don't want to endanger the safety of anyone on that field. And that's really all there is to it. Now, if a game is not winnable or no longer fun, that can be tweaked or adjusted. I know Red Baked Bean has been a member of Mechia, and I have interacted with her on numerous occasions. And I would hope that she can attest by now that I am very open to feedback when it comes to making adjustments to make things a little more equitable or fun. Because I am all about the fun, but I want to make sure that everybody has fun in a safe manner.
And for you, Littlefoot?
So, my personal opinion is that if a game is unsafe, that is a design flaw. I do not plan on designing any games that are inherently unsafe to play. Um, Unsafe designs are extremely narrow bridges, actual tripping hazards, that sort of thing. Um, you should. I think a lot of the actually a lot of this boils down to game design. Personally, um, not winnable. It depends, right? Like sometimes a stalemate is fun because both teams were fighting incredibly hard, and that's just how it came. It came to a draw. Not all games should result in that, obviously. As far as not fun, if it's not fun, if people aren't having a good time, we'll just wrap it up right there and move on to the next one. You guys are there to have fun, and I need to be able to facilitate that. And so if nobody's having fun, just scrap it, restart, move on to the next thing.
All right. Sorry, I'm skipping some of these joke questions now. We're eating through time. Oz is asking. Oh, sorry. Never mind. Nope. Sorry. Pause. Looking for a question. Do. Good lord, there's so many things in here. Question from Calvinon for both while I look for more. When game running, what are things you notice that others may not notice when it comes to safety, fun, or rule bending? And I'm going to ask you first, Littlefoot.
So one thing I think people really should take into account, especially when it comes to safety and fun, is people's attitudes. Um, People get heated when they're trying to win. And a lot of the time when people get heated, they might start being a little bit more unsafe. So it is not only the game runners, but also a Reeve responsibility to make sure, like we've said in the earlier today, cooler heads prevail. Sometimes you need to just sit down, take a break, cool down, fight somebody else. Rule bending is tantamount to cheating, and we all know cheating's not any fun. We only have fun when we all play the game by the rules. I don't really like gray areas. So if something comes up, I'll make a ruling and then we'll figure it out later. Um, we're all in this together to have fun. I know I will be 100% transparent. In the past, I definitely had an anger problem. And the best method was to just go sit down, take a break, drink some water, just chill out. We're nerds flinging sticks at each other. It's not that serious.
And for you, Spiv? Wait, never mind. Did we do Spiv first? I'm sorry. This has gone on a minute, and I'm juggling like 8 things right now. Spiv, have you
You're
already
great,
answered
bud.
that?
No.
Okay, for you, Spiv?
Really, I couldn't have answered that any better than Littlefoot. I mean, I want to say, you know, you just changed your name to your, I'm assuming your character name. During this chat, I saw it change myself. So you'd said that you'd just been out like your first time, and I'm really glad that you had a lot of fun. But when you get to run a game and you are what's called a reeve, you see both sides of the field, right? Whereas if you're participating, you're maybe not necessarily looking at the whole picture. You're looking, across the field at your opponents or thinking about your objectives. So as a game runner or reeve, you're kind of seeing everything that goes on, and you can pinpoint interactions like what Littlefoot said when someone is getting upset, or if you see someone quote unquote trying to bend the rules, and yes, call it out, because cheating is cheating, like he said. I don't know how better to put that, because that was really well put by Littlefoot.
All right. Do we have any last minute questions coming in before we try and wrap this up with some final questions for the earlier two, if anyone thought of anything? Last call for last minute questions. Anonymous or otherwise? None? All right. Oh, we got 3 people typing. Never mind. We're going to wait for typing. Oh, sorry. I didn't see that one. We do have one more question. Littlefoot's already answered it in chat, so I'll ask you this one, Spiv, and clarify Littlefoot's answer. Kalthanon asks if you had to use only one weapon for the rest of your time in Amped Guard, which would you choose? Littlefoot chose single short. What would you choose, Spiv?
Yeah, I'm pretty fond of the single short myself. It's kind of the classic. It treats you well if you treat it well, and to hell with flails.
Real for that. Oh, I can't open the chat again. All right, there we go. Last minute call for questions. Screechin's typing. I'm gonna let him continue typing real quick.
I only say to hell with flails because I think Littlefoot could also attest, being a bell fighters, that they're quite nasty, and I know young me facing down a wall of like shield plus flail was never a pleasant experience.
Elf over
Amen.
mean, man. All
Amen.
right. So we'll wrap up this portion. Thank you, Spiv. Thank you, Littlefoot. We're going to open the floor for just one final set. Anyone has any questions for either Bear or Laryl real quick before we call this meeting adjourned? We got a few people typing. All right. Several people typing. This is a question for you, Bear. Are you going to lead? What is this? Question for Bear. Are you going to lead the charge on the roleplay?
So my plan is to really let Littlefoot and his Shadow Techno run a lot of the like gaming and mechanics part of it. But I do plan on stepping in, helping facilitate, and obviously like brainstorming and probably help write some of the dungeons and questing. Because that is something that I feel that I've had a lot of experience in doing all the quests for Dragon Con and also some of the joints where I've done dungeons and quests. Um, so that is something I'm gonna not necessarily be the lead for, but I'm gonna be heavily like supplement whatever I can um, to help with it. And same thing for with if Spiv wins the election. I'm a big resource when it comes to all of that dungeon and everything being created and quests. So my goal is to be available and also be the idea guy. As a monarch, you're kind of the idea guy. I have lots of ideas.
All right, we've got a question from Screech for all candidates. We'll start with you, Bear, then go on to Laryl, and then Spiv, and then Littlefoot. What is your favorite part of Amtgard or your favorite part of leadership?
Well, a favorite part of Amtgard is kind of outside Amtgard. But my favorite part of Amtgard is after having a really, really fun weekend is going to Cracker Barrel. And I have the most fond memories of Amtgard, hitting up the Cracker Barrel in Chattanooga and just relaxing with the folks that I have gone to. Favorite part of leadership is absolutely being the person that is encouraging and motivating people to get involved and seeing their success. Like for instance, one of my belt links, Calcifer, was absolutely not going to enter the last Dragon Master that she won, but I pestered her and encouraged her, and she submitted to it and won. And that for myself is one of my favorite parts of being a leader and a mentor is seeing those that I lead and mentor successful, them grow their Amtgard resume.
And for you, Laryl?
My favorite, what was it? It was favorite part of Amberguard. Um, so it's usually going to be the crafting, though I do have my soft spot for archery. But my favorite part of Amberguard is always going to be crafting and the environment and the people, and specifically like learning new things and teaching new things. One of my favorite things to do with local park members is they want to make something. Hey, I know how to do that. Let me help you do the thing you want to do. Um, and that's just always been very, very fun. And so it really ties in with being regent for me because I want to enable people to do the things and make the things that they want.
Thank you, Laryl. And for you, Spiv?
My favorite part of Amtgard is still, it's still the fighting. I like that Amtgard brings an extra dimension to the table, with the classes and the spellcasting over other sports like Belagarth and Dagger here. My favorite part of leadership is seeing smiles on people's faces, like when you when you enable someone to do something, or you provide that encouragement, you provide that mentorship, and then they're better off for it. I absolutely love that part of kind of driving the direction, so to speak, and 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 getting the people to really believe in something, to share that vision with them.
Thank you, Spiv, and on to you, Littlefoot.
My favorite parts of AmpGuard are battle gaming and just fellowship with the community. Getting to like see all my friends that I've made over the years, getting to meet new people and get my ass kicked by them or kick their ass. Um, as far as like leadership, just helping people facilitate their goal or helping facilitate people to achieve their goals, whatever that goal might be. For champion, most of the time that might be achieving Paragon or maybe Battle Master and giving people tips and helping them find whatever resources that they may need to accomplish their goals.
Thank you as well. All right. We've got a question for Bear here, actually, from Red Baked Bean. Bear, what is your approach if a park officer is having issues with a player?
All right. So according to the Kapora, if there are issues that involve park officers, it should be brought up to the Monarch and the Monarch team. So my plans for that is to obviously start up an investigation with it, and then try to find a resolution for both the officer and the player. Um, when something is involved like that, the Kingdom Monarchy is there to step in, because as a park officer, obviously you don't want to have bias of being in office and holding the power and using that power on somebody that you wrong. It needs to come from a third party person. So as soon as it would get brought to my attention, I would then start up an investigation, start inquiring into both parties or all the parties.
All right. Thank you very much, Bear. That question has also been directed towards Spiv. Panther, I will say that is generally not the champion's purview.
I think the question is directed to me. Like, should Spiv be elected? How will I do that?
Yeah, that's how I
That's
interpret
how I read
that
I
it.
as
Yeah.
understand.
well.
Sorry, I must have missed that. Sorry.
If Spiv gets elected, then that means I have lots of late night talks with my buddy Spiv and scheming. That's how I'll handle it.
Mwahahaha.
Oh,
All right. Have I missed any more questions? Oh, we've got one from Sid. What up, Sid? Out of Kingdom question. It's not directed towards any. Oh, you don't have to ask. What? I'm gonna ask it anyways. Um. Uh. We're gonna direct this towards you, Bear. What's your ideal rain theme? Assuming you can't pick D&D. Assuming that you can make it work in Amped Guard.
well, if I can't pick D&D, then I'm gonna go with my favorite genre, which is Star Wars. But I already have an event coming up on May 1st through 3rd, and I'm the Dungeon Crat and Quest Crat for that. Come check it out. And if I can't pick Star Wars either, I'm actually looking into doing a Stormlight Archives theme because I believe that can translate very well into our Wacky Bat system.
All right. We'll do last call for questions. Calpanon, you have asked a question that would keep us here for the next 30 to 40 minutes. I am so sorry. Screech, I am on a time crunch. I have needed to use the bathroom for about an hour and a half now. I'm fighting demons right now. Um, but I'm a host first and foremost, so closing questions. Red Baked Bean wants a closing question for all. Why you? I think that is a absolutely perfect My need to use the bathroom is recorded. Thank God. Um, Red Baked Bean, I think that is an absolutely perfect question to finish us off. Bear, we're going to start with you. We'll go on to Laryl, then Spiv, then Littlefoot, as we did before. Bear, the question is very simple. Why you?
Well, taking out the fact that I'm running unopposed, why you should elect me because I'm a fresh face. I'm trying out the king position for my first time, and I have lots of ideas. But on top of that, I'm also like asking and getting the opinions and the wants and needs of everybody in Winter's Edge. So for my reign, I really do plan on serving the kingdom as a whole and checking on our tiny little parks and seeing them grow and really setting up Winter's Edge for success in the future.
All right, and moving on to Laryl, same question. Why you?
Um, well, also unopposed. Um, but as for why I would hope to get elected, um, I've done it before and was, in my opinion, quite successful just based off of participation alone. However, I have a real plan and passion for reinvigorating our ANS side of Antguard because I think it needs it. And I would love to see all of y'all's amazing pieces of work.
Thank you very much, Laryl. Great answer. Spiv, you are up next. Why you?
Why me? Because I don't feel like I am done serving the kingdom yet. I have really enjoyed being on the kingdom level, and I want to do more for everyone.
Short and concise. I like it. All right. Littlefoot, you were the last up. Why you?
I am super excited to bring you guys my take on Amp Kingdom level battle gaming. It's a passion of mine, and kind of all I got, man. I just want to fight and run fights for all you guys.
Short and concise again. Thank you very much. You were aiding in my ability to go to the bathroom. Um, so with that, I'm gonna close it out. I've been your host, Yui and Silent, our co-host. Um, say thank you all for the questions. I may not have liked reading them all out. I do not condone all of those questions. I feel like I should reiterate that real quick. And I will ask that in the future, all questions are a little more civil. If anyone has any last minute questions, I'm sorry. It is over now. Um, Everyone have a wonderful night. Thank you all for joining. Our candidates, thank you all as well. It was absolutely wonderful having you all here. Great answers from everyone. Um, you'll have a nice night.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.